Today on Dr. Phil.
I feel like a bad wife.
Sue has got to be one of the most nervous,
I'm so scared.
most fearful wives we have ever encountered.
The duties of a wife is, to cook and clean.
He said something, and did you notice that you actually got smaller? What did you think when he said, go sit naked in the cul-de-sac?
She just always let me down.
I want to please him.
This is a totally dysfunctional relationship. Let's do it. Why don't we stop all the drama, stop all the fighting, and let's go get you better.
Here we go. Have a good show, everybody.
If I can help get this family back on track, are you willing to do that?
Ready, three, take.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Today we are talking about the story of a woman who has written to me really begging for help, saying that she is so scared of upsetting her husband that she will do whatever he wants to keep the peace. She'll agree with whatever he says. She'll just nod and keep quiet. She'll get drunk with him. She'll have sex. She'll do whatever it takes not to set him off. Now, when we prepare for shows, the staff spends hours on the phone pre-interviewing the guests. And in all of the years they're doing this show, Sue has got to be one of the most nervous, the most fearful wives we have ever encountered. Take a look.
I'm a bad wife because I don't do what Andy wants me to do. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make my marriage work. I don't feel I'm good enough for him. I don't feel that I deserve him. When Andy comes home, he wants dinner on the table. If he wants sex, I give it to him. If he wants to talk, I don't usually talk back because if I do, I know I'm gonna get the wrath of Khan. I can't do anything right. My tone of voice is wrong. If I say anything, I'm arguing with him. I always feel like I'm gonna be in trouble. You're in trouble, little girl, today. You bad little girl. You need to put your nose in the corner. I just don't want him to leave me. I'm so scared. I just don't know why I'm so bad.
She blames herself for all their problems. I mean, she really does. It's like, if I would just do better. She blames herself.
Andy is evil. After we were drinking too much one night, Andy got really mad at me and threw me up against a shed. And his friend had to come out and grab him off of me because he was choking me. He's taken a knife and cut the bed. He shoved me on the bed and I hit my head on the headboard. Where I go in the bathroom or in the bedroom, he breaks the locks to get in at me. Andy has broken around 3 to 4 locks around the house. Andy's pulled the screen door off and threw it and crushed it. Andy can get violent, but since I stay so submissive, I don't think Andy would get physical with me again, but I honestly don't care. If he's gonna kill me, he's gonna kill me. I feel like I'm already dead anyways.
Well, my producers had more questions for Sue about Andy's behavior, but she became very nervous about how Andy would react if she told us certain things, because she knew if she told us, then he would hear about it once he got here.
Tell me how you feel when you have to do something sexual with Andy and you don't want to.
Sometimes when I don't want to have sex with Andy,
What do you think about that?
I'm just afraid Andy's gonna get mad at me for saying something wrong or doing something wrong, or like I could just see his face right now just being so mad, like, why would you say that, or why would you do that, or, like, really, Sue, why would you do that or say that to do this to me, and how could you, And I just don't want him mad at me because I'm afraid he's gonna leave me.
Okay. You've written to me before.
Right.
You want to be here today.
Yes, I
Why?
want to be here. Because I want my marriage to work. It's on the last legs, and I don't know what to do. And I think the only person that Andy will listen to is you. Yeah. He's never listened to anyone before, ever.
Mm-hmm. And you understand, both of you, in order to get things changed, in order to get things right, get things better, you have to be honest here, right? You have to be, Andy has to be.
If everyone's not honest and tell you everything, we're going to be divorced.
Do you think he bullies you?
Yeah, I know he does.
Does he yell at you, scream at you, call you names?
All the time.
Then you got to be willing to say that. We asked you
like
questions and you were afraid to answer because you're afraid you're going to make him mad by what you say.
Well, I always feel afraid of what he's going to say.
You said to us that he has called you a stupid bitch. He's called you the word. He's called you stupid. He's called you a little piece of, well, he's called you dumb. He's called you an idiot. He's put you down. You said he's done all of that to you. We asked him about that, and he said, quote, you name it, I've called Sue it. Whatever it is. I mean, he's admitted that.
I think that's weird that he's acknowledging it because he never has before.
Has he threatened to kill you with a gun?
Yeah, he did when we were hiking one time.
Has he choked you and thrown you against the shed?
Yeah, when he was really intoxicated, he did one night at a friend's house.
Has he grabbed you by the hair?
Yeah.
And dragged you?
Yeah.
Has he stabbed the bed with a knife beside you?
Yeah, when he was talking to me one night and I asked him why you did that, he says, I don't know, just for fun.
Has he broken the doors and the locks in the house trying to get to you?
Yeah, because he thinks I'm going to hurt myself.
Why are you putting up with this?
Because I think I deserve it, and I think that it's my fault.
Has he cheated on you?
Yeah.
But yet you took him back, but when he came back, he said, okay, I'm coming back, but there's going to be some stipulations here. You're going to have to get your act together. He's cheated on you, but he has rules if he's willing to come back to you.
Right. He said that there's rules for him to come back, and that if I don't, you know, clean the house the right way or make sure dinner's ready, or that, you know, last time he left, I didn't give him enough sex, and that, you know, when he came back, I was like 40 pounds thinner and I looked so awesome, and, you know, all that stuff. And I was so nice to him. I did everything he wanted when he came back. And, you know, when he would come home this time, I would have, you know, a drink ready for him and just wait on him hand and foot. And he loved that. And so, of course, he's going to come back to me.
What did you think when he said, go sit naked in the cul-de-sac for 15 minutes and think about this?
I thought he was crazy.
Your theory is if you would just shut up, do what you're told, not push his buttons, have dinner ready on time, keep the house clean, have sex when he wants it, keep yourself in shape, that everything would be fine.
Right.
This is basically your fault. If you would just do a better job of being a wife and a woman, that everything would be okay.
Yeah, I feel like a bad person.
So what I need to do is just get you to be a better wife and woman.
Yeah.
And then this will be fixed. I don't even really need to talk to him. I just need to shape you up.
Yeah. He tells me, if you would just get better in counseling and you would just be better, and if you would just talk nice to me, then everything would be fine. What don't you understand, Sue? Do you just not get it? Are you that stupid? What don't you get? Do you not get it?
But you need to make this work because, I mean, let's face it. Nobody else would want you, right?
Yeah, that's what he tells me. No one else would ever.
And you believe that?
No one else would ever want you when they find out who you really are.
Which is who?
Dumb.
Who are you? Are you
Ugly,
dumb?
fat.
Ugly, fat.
Stupid, unlovable,
Dumb, ugly, fat, stupid, unlovable. Lazy.
lazy. Everything you can think of, I am.
Well, so coming up, we're going to meet Mr. Wonderful. Andy, I mean, to hear him, you would think he's going to come out here with horns and a tail, right? We're going to hear why he says Sue could be a better wife. I mean, is this all one-sided? We're going to hear what Andy has to say when we come back.
The duties of a wife is to have sex and cook and clean and do her fair share. I do get mad at Sue if I have to go 3 or 4 days and she doesn't want to have sex.
If my husband, Andy, leaves me, I feel like I will die. Andy is like a part of me. I've lost who Sue is, so he tells me who I am.
Well, that was Sue. She claims her husband, Andy, has choked her, chased her, broken down doors, taken away phones, locked her in the garage, and cursed at her on a regular basis. She says she's extremely worried that he will leave her. I don't know what you're all thinking. I hope he does, right? If he's doing all of that, why would you care? Her husband, Andy, says he's not the only one to blame in this situation. There's another side. Take a look.
Sue should respect the fact that I am the man of the house. I provide everything for her, and the duties of a wife is to have sex and cook and clean and do her fair share. I mean, if she's not working, I work between 40 and 60 hours a week. If I tell her to have dinner ready sooner, she should do it, or if I ask her to pay a bill, she should try hard to do it. I do get mad at Sue if I have to go 3 or 4 days and she doesn't want to have sex. A lot of times I won't say anything and it'll be ongoing, and then when I do say something, I don't present myself with a very nice tone of voice. I come across as a little mean or intimidating. When I'm really mad, I lose my temper. I throw things and call her names. She just keeps pushing my buttons. At this point in our marriage, if I could just break up with her and she could go on being happy and I could go on being happy, I would do it.
She is characterizing you as being a very demanding husband and a bully, in fact. I've said there's 2 sides to every story. So I'll just ask you straight up, is she right? Are you demanding? Are you a bully?
I can be that way.
Yeah. Why? Why would you treat her the way she's characterizing you? Do you do that?
I do. I don't. That's not my intentions. I get frustrated. I feel like she doesn't do her part, and I feel like I have to do so much more to make everything happen, and it irritates me.
So you think the end justifies the means? Because she doesn't do things right, that it makes it okay for you to treat her in a demeaning way?
No, it doesn't.
But you do it.
I do it.
You call your wife the word?
When I'm drunk.
Well, you can't get that drunk, that's okay.
It's not okay.
I mean, you call her a bitch and the word? I mean, that women have a long memory.
I know that.
What the hell's going on here that this is okay? You say when you're drunk, are you like a bad drunk?
No, I don't think so.
Well,
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
I guess I just remember the good times. So the bad times, I guess I tend to drink too much and black those out.
are you a bad drunk?
I get mean sometimes.
Am I talking to a couple of alcoholics here?
Could be.
I think so.
No, I'm asking seriously. Self-diagnose something here, because something's way wrong here. If you two are living this way and you're calling each other names and you're wanting to die, what the hell kind of life is this?
It's not a life.
When he drinks, he gets really mean and starts calling me names. This is when he does all this stuff, and he doesn't remember anything.
Well, then you must be drinking a lot. And my question to you is, what the hell are you thinking? And what the hell are you thinking? Why is this okay with you? You're scared to death he ain't gonna come back to you?
Because I feel I deserve...
This is you want this man. Well, who'd you turn down?
Because I...
Why are you living like this? You're a better man than that.
I am. I'll admit to think.
Is this beneath you?
Because I feel I'm just so dumb. And I deserve it. I feel like a bad wife.
Because you don't make dinner fast enough? Because you make the bed
No.
straight enough?
I'm just not a good anything. Mom, daughter, wife, friend, anything.
And he's so inspirational. All right, let's take a break. There's a lot going on here, and I think I know exactly what it is. Next, do Sue and Andy have anything in common? And if things are so bad, why do they keep going back to each other? And interestingly enough, both of them had that question for me. Why am I staying in this marriage if it is this bad? And what can I do to make it better? Well, we're going to talk about all that when we come back.
Now that the kids are older, Sue and I don't really have anything in common about good sex. In 2006, Sue and I actually split up and drew divorce papers. When we got back together, we did go on a hiking trip, and I don't remember what we were arguing about, but I was really pissed off and told her I was going to shoot her. After I told Sue that I was going to shoot her, I went back towards the car, and I walked really fast, leaving her behind to find her way out. I have regretted going back to Sue. I always ask myself, why did I do this? Why did I get back with her?
Well, that was Andy talking about a threat he made to Sue during a camping trip shortly after they decided not to get divorced. Now, during an interview with Sue and Andy, Sue became noticeably detached and withdrawn. And take a look, and then I want to talk about what happened. Both of y'all watch this, and then we'll talk about it.
Well, you get mad when I disagree with you.
Yeah, but I mean, we disagree on everything, but we can't seem to come up with what it is. I mean, because everything's such a big word. What's going on in you? Want to say it, or you're afraid you're going to make me mad? Can you hear me? What are you scared of? This might be the disassociation. I mean, I don't understand it either, but I know, when she sees her counselor, it's called disassociation.
I want you to watch this, and no audio, just watch this real close, and I'm going to ask him to freeze it at a certain moment. You say something here, and he says something, and then you actually physically get smaller. You're actually shrinking now into the couch, and freeze. Okay, did you notice that you actually got smaller? And by that, I mean you went from this to, did you notice that? Now, I want you to notice that, but did you notice that? Mm-hmm. When I was talking about it, do you see? She said that, and you said something, and she actually physically recoiled into a smaller position.
Right.
Did you see that? How do you feel about that?
I don't understand it. I don't know what she's going through when she does that.
Tell me why you're crying right now.
I feel scared that he's gonna be mad at me.
And you have pretty good reason to feel that way, right?
Yeah.
Because he has been a lot.
Always. He's always mad at me, everything I do.
Yeah. And so he yells at you.
Yeah.
And so you two have defined this relationship, and you get louder and you get smaller. And the smaller she gets, and the more she shrinks down, the more frustrated you get. And so you two have this really sick relationship dynamic going on between you, right? You get that?
I get that.
Okay, and do you understand that there is a substantial depression going on here, and there's anxiety going on here,
Right.
and there is a little dissociation going on here. So you've got anxiety and depression and withdrawal and isolation. And so you come in yelling and screaming to facilitate that even further. But here's a good idea. Let's all get drunk and see if that helps.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible. I hate doing it.
Seriously,
I mean,
who's thinking for y'all?
It's gotten worse ever since he left me this last time, 2006.
Yeah.
And ever since I came back, I've been walking on eggshells.
Yeah, in Army jack boots. Yeah, you're walking on eggshells in Army jack boots.
Why does he always say that? I mean, why do you always say that you're walking on eggshells? What do I do?
Everything you say, anything I say will trigger any of the problems that we have, and then you start getting snippy with me, and you get this attitude.
I have an attitude? I don't.
You do.
I don't understand.
I mean, have you not
Everything
ever hear me say
is
that?
You have the wrong tone of voice. Your voice.
Yeah,
do you hear
talk
yourself,
nice to
Sue?
me. You don't hear yourself.
Listen to your tone. That's all you ever say.
Then why don't you change your tone of voice?
I don't get that. I don't understand my tone of voice. What? How is my tone of voice?
It's fine right now.
No, it's always like this.
It's just like when you tell me I'm yelling at you.
No.
And I'm not yelling
When you
at
yell, this is when you yell at me. You yell like this.
You don't talk like this.
No, I don't talk like this, but the more frustrated I
You're
get,
big
you
like
don't listen
this.
to me.
You overpower me. You can overpower me in a heartbeat. What are you talking
know that.
about?
Well, she says if she would just agree with you, have dinner ready, stop pushing your buttons, do what you say, be on your side, have more sex, watch your tone of voice, and listen to you, everything would be fine.
Exactly. That's
If I
it.
stop drinking,
No, even when you're not drinking.
But those things would help a lot, right?
I would.
You need to get a hooker. Because that's the only one that's going to tell you everything that you have to say is interesting, not push your buttons, and agree with everything you say. And that's only going to last for an hour.
He wants me to agree with everything.
I hear. Coming up, Sue's two children are here. Their feelings about Andy might surprise you. I do have some answers for these people, and we're getting to them. We'll be right back. It's not as far to better ground than you might think. Sue and Andy have been married for 12 years. They've been together for 20. Point being, they know each other. Now, there have been claims of emotional abuse, violence, depression, and abandonment. Now, Sue has two children from a previous relationship who both grew up living with Andy. They've seen firsthand how bad things can get between the two. Now, Sue's 25-year-old son, Blaine, thinks they are both to blame. Take a look.
When I was younger, I was often the mediator, so I was always put in the middle of everything. When I was 16, Andy pushed my mom up against the fridge. I shoved him back, and we got into a shoving match, and we got in each other's face, and I was scared. He was a bigger guy than me. The fight got pretty intense, so my mom called the cops. When I was younger, I blamed Andy for a lot of the fights. Now that I'm older, I realize that my mom instigates fights, and that's how they keep arguing. Andy tries to leave and walk away, and my mom will come find him and find more things to argue about. I don't blame my mom for all the problems in her marriage, but I do believe it takes two to create problems.
Now, Blaine moved out 7 years ago because he said he couldn't take the fighting. Now, hear what I just said. 7 years ago? But he has a 21-year-old sister, Ashley, who still lives at home. She says the situation makes her physically ill.
Life is a living hell when I'm at home. My mom and Andy always end up fighting. He asks her, like, "Are you dumb? Are you stupid? You're an idiot." When I hear these things, it brings me physical pain. I'm very afraid that one day he might snap and hurt her because he has a lot of anger. My mom gets into deep depression from the way that he treats her. She won't want to eat. She barely will even talk to you. And sometimes I just go in there and lay with her. I can't move out because I don't want to leave her alone. I definitely feel like I have had to be the parent growing up. I hate coming home because no one should have to call a place like that their home.
Well, Ashley, Blaine, y'all been watching right along, right?
Yes, sir.
Ashley, let me start with you. You're right in the crossfire here with all of this.
Yeah,
What's it like for you on a day-to-day basis?
It's awful. I never want to be home. I always try to go do something so I don't have to be there.
Blaine, you escaped this, and you did it on purpose, right? You wanted out of this situation.
Yeah, it wasn't anything fun to be around. It was depressing seeing my mom cry all the time, and just have Andy come home mad. You never knew what he was mad for, but he's mad for you about something. So I had to get out of there.
Did you miss him when he was gone?
Yeah, I miss Blaine because I feel like Blaine's the peacekeeper and always wants to hug me, and Andy's not like that.
But you realize that's a terrible job to put on a child.
I know.
That's a burden to put on a child.
I know.
And you know, you used to tell Ashley that you were depressed so she wouldn't leave you, which is another job for a kid.
I know. I don't mean to do that to my children because I love them so much, and I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to change. I want to be a good parent for them. I hate being who I am.
What do you think about the impact on these kids?
I feel terrible. I know that it's been hard for them, but yet I haven't changed.
Yeah. Why not?
I don't know.
Because he thinks it's my fault.
Being completely honest, and not politically correct, but completely honest, do you really think this is pretty much her fault?
No, I think it's my fault too.
But why do you blame her?
Well, I mean, now that I'm looking back on it, I mean, I see that it's got to be my fault too. I mean, obviously, I just have something wrong with me. Why am I pissed off all the time? Irritable. I take it out on her if she doesn't do things right, or if I ask her to do something, she doesn't do it. I feel like she's just always letting me down. I work so hard to provide for these guys. I just feel like, help me out a little bit. And I come home from a long day and you're just sitting on the couch doing nothing, and I got to go get dinner ready myself.
How do you know we haven't done anything all day, though? You haven't even asked us.
Because we communicate during the day.
No, we don't.
Well, it's not like you've been
always.
out busting your ass for 14
how
hours.
How do you know I haven't been depressed, laying in bed, crying my eyes out, wanting to die, or taking care of my mom and dad all day? You don't know anything. You haven't even asked.
See, this is interesting to me, actually, because I just asked you if you thought it was all her fault. And you said, actually, no. And within 12 seconds, you two were in an argument. If you can get in an argument within 12 seconds of saying, I realized for the first time, it's not all her fault, there's something wrong with me. Wow. Wow.
We do that all the time.
I know. Help is on the way. We're going to take a break, and I'm going to talk about what I think Andy and Sue are both doing wrong in this relationship, and more importantly, what I think they can do to change this radically and immediately. We'll be right back.
I don't feel like my mom and Andy should be together because two people shouldn't constantly be fighting and arguing. If you're trying this hard, then what's the point? I've actually never told my mom and Andy that I don't think they should be together. I don't want her to get upset, and I already know what Andy thinks the same thing I do.
My mother, Sue, is broken and lost. I never want that to happen to me.
I do think the way my mom's relationship is sets a bad example for Ashley.
I'm so afraid that I will lose my strength and independence to a man because of what I've been exposed to.
Growing up all those years, watching my mom and Andy fight, it affected my relationship with women. I let my girlfriends walk all over me. When my girlfriend left me, I took her back every time because I was trying so hard not to be like Andy. I ended up being more like my mom.
Now, guys, how do you feel about being here right now?
I'm really happy, and I've been praying for this
Are you glad
for
you came?
years. Yeah.
How's it going for you so far? I mean, are you sitting here thinking, uh-oh, I'm sorry I came? Or are you sitting here thinking you're glad you came?
I'm really happy I came.
Okay. How about you?
I'm glad I came.
I'm not as bad up close as you thought I might be?
I'm glad I got to look at myself.
Yeah. Well, I got some good news and some bad news. You want the good news or the bad news first?
Either one.
How about the bad news?
Okay.
This couldn't get much worse.
I'd hope not.
The good news is that means it's just got to get better because you couldn't hardly fall off the floor. This needs to stop. And I'm going to tell you what I think's going on and what I think you need to do. You know, I've written a book recently that was written in large part for you two. It's called Life Code. And that title wasn't chosen by accident. Life Code. There's a code for life. And it's rules for winning in the real world. Because the world's changed. You need new rules. And the first half of this book, y'all need to read second. It's the second half of the book you need to read first, because the second half of the book talks about what you have to do to really win in this life. It talks about what you need to do to parent properly. And you need to do some re-parenting with these two. You parented them once. You need to do some re-parenting of them so they have a chance to really reset their compass in life. But it talks about what you need to do to have a chance to win. And number one is to have a defined image in your life. You have a defined image. Your defined image is a victim, depressed, dumb, ugly, fat, lazy. You've encoded all of these things. That's your image, right?
Yeah.
Based on what you tell yourself, I have no question as to why you are not succeeding in your relationship. You believe all of this stuff.
Yeah, I do.
And it is not true. You may be behaving to that definition right now, but that is not who you are. That is not who you are. That is not why he fell in love with you. That is not why he has stayed around. He is in love with you. Let me tell you, when somebody shows this much rage, it comes from the inside out. You two, I said earlier, do you two have anything in common? Interestingly, you do.
We do?
Sure you do. You want to know what you have in common?
What?
questions you got to start asking yourself is why just below the surface you are chronically pissed off. You want to know what you have in common?
What?
Both of you were damaged very early on in your lives. You've learned that when you put it out there, it can really, really hurt. You know, we learned one thing about rage, about anger. It keeps you from getting hurt because it's an emotion that's based on get them before they get me. Because if you come in like this, you know, you're on guard, you get them before they get you. And anger is nothing more than an outward expression of hurt, fear, and frustration. But anger protects you, whereas if instead of saying angry, you say I'm hurt, or I'm scared, or I'm frustrated, that's vulnerability. And that can be really dangerous. But if you're angry, you don't have to deal with those emotions. And if you medicate yourself with alcohol, then you really numb yourself to the pain. The questions you got to start asking yourself is why just below the surface you are chronically pissed off. I think you got a whole lot of hurt that's been with you for a long, long time. And she invites you to yell at her. Now, I'm not blaming you for his abusive ways. But let me tell you something. I think you are experiencing a lot of depression. I think you are experiencing a lot of anxiety, and you're doing nothing to deal with it.
I've been trying to deal with it for years, but it never dissipates.
You are an alcoholic. I'm sorry. You are an alcoholic. Don't tell me it doesn't dissipate. You're drinking to excess, true?
Yeah.
How many nights a week do you get drunk?
3, 4.
3, 4 nights a week? Let me tell you, there is no therapeutic regimen on the face of the earth that includes drinking to excess 3, 4 nights a week. Don't tell me you're trying to deal with your mental illness, your anxiety, your depression, you're fighting back of panic, isolation, disassociation when you're drinking 3, 4 nights a week. You're self-medicating to run from it. And you can run, but you'll just die tired. That's no way to deal with this. You've got to deal with this first before we can deal with what's going on. You are not that mad at her. You have a moral compass that tells you it's wrong to speak to her that way. You would not speak to anyone that way.
I wouldn't.
You know better than that.
Why has he left me so many times?
What?
Why has he left me so many times?
Because this is a completely, totally dysfunctional relationship. You find every possible way you can to misbehave. So, what do we do with all of that? I'm going to put verbs in my sentences and be very, very specific after the break. Well, we've been talking today about family dynamic. And look, marriage is not easy. I mean, life is fast, it moves, I understand that. And look, to the two of you, this seems insurmountable, right? It's because you have momentum in the wrong direction. There is so much that can change here. First off, we have to eliminate alcohol from this situation. Second, anytime you come to a relationship, you either contaminate the relationship or you contribute to it. Right now, you are both contaminators. You have to start remembering why you fell in love with and married her to begin with. You're just having trouble finding the girl you fell in love with because you've beat her back, you've beat her down. And you don't own his behavior, but you own yours. You've ceased to walk with pride. You've ceased to walk with the dignity of the woman that you are. Right. Because you are depressed. We need to change all of that. And I will walk you guys through this if you are willing to commit yourselves to it.
I'm willing to.
And this is something that we will start right away.
She actually just bought me your book.
Yeah, and she gave it to you.
She gave it to me.
Yeah. And I'll bet you the pages weren't dog-eared and worn. She bought it and gave it to you.
From the bag, yep.
Yeah. The book they're talking about is Life Code. It's published by my son Jay's publishing company, Bird Street Books. Everybody in the audience is going to go home with a copy. I want you all to read that. I'm very proud to say it is #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, so you can find it in any bookstore in America. I highly recommend it. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.